The morning was crisp, the kind that demanded a steaming cup of coffee and a sense of routine. Sam Fletcher adjusted his cap in the rearview mirror of the large, yellow school bus he'd driven for nearly a decade. He glanced at the clock. 6:45 a.m. He had 15 minutes before the first stop, and the quiet hum of the empty bus gave him a rare moment of reflection. Sam prided himself on being a reliable fixture in the lives of dozens of children. Rain or shine, he knew their faces, their routines, and sometimes even their problems. But today, an uneasy feeling gnawed at him. He brushed it aside as preposterous intuition, shaking his head. "You're just tired," he muttered to himself as he started the engine. The route began as usual, kids trickling in with their backpacks, sleepy eyes, and the occasional chatter about last night's TV shows. Sam greeted each child with a warm "good morning." They were his passengers, but over time, they had also become part of his extended family. The bus wove through the winding roads of Cedar Grove, a quiet suburban neighborhood surrounded by dense woods. Sam pulled up to the third stop, a small cul-de-sac where 3 kids usually got on. 2 of them, Lucas and Hannah, clambered aboard as usual, but the third, Maddie, hesitated at the curb. Sam's trained eyes caught it immediately. Maddie wasn't her usual cheery self. Her face was pale, her lips trembling, and her small hands clutched her bag straps like they were a lifeline. "Morning, Maddie," Sam said, his voice gentle. "You feeling okay?" She nodded quickly but didn't make eye contact. Something was wrong, Sam could feel it. His gut told him to dig deeper, but the line of cars forming behind the bus pushed him to move on. Maddie shuffled to her seat, her head down. As the bus rolled on, Sam couldn't shake the feeling. He glanced at her in the large rearview mirror. She sat alone, staring out the window, her fingers tapping nervously on the seat. By the time they reached the school, Sam had decided he'd stop by the principal's office later to mention Maddie's behavior. But life, as it often does, had other plans. The day passed uneventfully until the drive home. The afternoon sun cast long shadows as Sam began the return route. Kids piled onto the bus, their laughter filling the air. But Maddie was different yet again. This time, she didn't board the bus. Sam asked her teacher, who happened to be nearby. "Maddie left early," the teacher explained, a hint of confusion in her voice. Sam's heart sank. Something wasn't right, and he knew it. He couldn't shake the image of Maddie's distressed face that morning. He decided to make a detour past her house before heading back to the depot. As he turned onto Maddie's street, Sam's pulse quickened. Her front yard was eerily silent. The door to the house was slightly ajar, swaying in the breeze. Sam parked the bus and hesitated for a moment. Years of driving taught him to stay out of personal matters. But today, his instincts screamed at him to act. He stepped off the bus and approached the house. Sam pushed the door open slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. The house was unnervingly quiet, the kind of silence that seemed to scream. "Maddie?" he called, his voice trembling slightly. No response. The living room was in disarray. Papers scattered, a broken lamp, and a chair tipped over. Sam's unease grew. He moved further into the house, scanning for any sign of Maddie or her family. A faint noise caught his attention, a muffled whimper coming from upstairs. Sam's legs moved before his mind could process. He took the stairs 2 at a time, the creaking would echoing in the stillness. The sound led him to a small bedroom. The door was ajar, and as he stepped inside, he saw Maddie huddled in a corner, her knees drawn to her chest. Her eyes were wide with fear, and she was clutching a small stuffed bear. "Maddie," Sam said softly, kneeling down to her level. "It's me, Mr. Fletcher. You're safe now." She hesitated, her lips quivering. He came back," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Sam felt a chill run down his spine. "Who, Maddie? Who came back?" Before she could answer, a loud crash came from downstairs. Sam's instincts went into overdrive. He looked around and spotted a wardrobe. "Maddie, listen to me. I need you to hide in there and stay quiet, okay? No matter what, don't come out until I say so." She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and crawled into the wardrobe. Sam closed the door quietly and turned to face the unknown threat. As he crept back down the stairs, Sam grabbed a heavy candlestick from a side table. The crash had come from the kitchen. He peered around the corner and saw a man rifling through drawers, muttering angrily to himself. The man was disheveled, his movements erratic. "Hey!" Sam shouted, his voice firm and commanding. The man froze and turned to face him, a wild look in his eyes. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" The man sneered. "None of your business, old man. Leave, and you won't get hurt." Sam tightened his grip on the candlestick. "This is my business. You're in a child's home. Leave now, or I'll call the police." The man lunged at Sam, but years of quick reflexes from driving helped him dodge the attack. Sam swung the candlestick, knocking the intruder to the ground. The man groaned, clutching his head. Sam wasted no time. He grabbed a phone from the counter and dialed 911. "There's a break-in at 224 Cedar Grove. Send help immediately," he said, keeping an eye on the intruder who was starting to stir. Within minutes, the sound of sirens filled the air. The police arrived and took the man into custody. Sam explained what had happened, his adrenaline finally starting to ebb. Once the house was secure, Sam went upstairs to get Maddie. She emerged from the wardrobe and ran into his arms, sobbing. "It's okay, Maddie," he said, his voice soothing. "You're safe now." Later, Sam learned that the man was Maddie's estranged father, who had a history of violence. Maddie's mother had left him and gone into hiding, but he had tracked them down. Sam became a local hero, but he brushed off the attention. "I just did what anyone would do," he said modestly. But deep down, he knew it was more than that. It was his connection to the children, his unwavering sense of responsibility that had driven him to act. As Maddie and her mother began to rebuild their lives, Sam continued his daily route. But every morning, as he adjusted his cap and started the engine, he carried with him the knowledge that sometimes, a simple decision to act can change everything. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more.